lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Attention. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Josh, would you mind reading the mission statement, please?
The mission of Clay County Schools is to build high-quality learning environments that ensure all students learn at high levels.
Thank you. Our next regular meeting will be November the 24th here in the boardroom. I just want to acknowledge or make a point that Danny's back with us this evening. We're glad to have Danny back, and he's over his little battle with the shingles. So glad you're feeling better and here this evening, Danny. Ms. Crawford still is not with us, but last I heard she is going to be coming home on Wednesday of this week. So we're excited about that. Still lots of things to overcome and to battle, but she is heading in the right direction and getting better every day. So we're excited about her being able to at least be home and back in Hayesville on Wednesday. So I'll entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as it was presented and as it was emailed to you.
I'll make the motion, Dr. Ship.
Mr. Jones, second. All in favor? Thank you. Any public comments, Shelley? So we'll start with our reports section, and that will be the Hayesville Primary Schools School Improvement Plan.
Good evening. I had asked a couple of people to help me with this portion tonight, but it didn't work out for any of them to be here, so you're stuck with just me. We're fortunate that I actually have three people who are working on their admin degrees right now, so I'm grateful for that, and I've given them a lot of opportunities to help do things like this because I always feel like that's a good way to get some experience, but all of them had other conflicts at this time. But this is short and sweet. If you want more details, I'm happy to provide that, but I tried to consolidate things and make it as simple as we could. So at the primary school, for our school improvement plan, we categorized all of our actions into 4 main goals. We have a goal for behavior, a goal for attendance, a goal for reading, and a goal for math. I think I'm probably most excited about our attendance goal because I didn't really realize until you start looking at the numbers just how poor our attendance is overall. It's a statewide problem, it's a nationwide problem, but so currently our number of students who are chronically absent is 30% of the primary school, and chronically absent means that they have missed 10% or more of their days of school. And when you start adding that up over time, if that same student that starts in kindergarten ends up as a student in our high school, they've missed like over a year of instruction. So it's wild to contemplate that. So our goal is to really help reduce that number. We put our goal at 25% as opposed to 30. I hope that we blow that out of the water and that we really exceed that goal, but we wanted to start with something that we hope is attainable. On our behavior goal, as much as we would love to see behaviors decrease, and that is our goal as well, we also want our teachers using Educator's Handbook, which is something that the whole district uses to track our behavior data. So we want to increase the number of teachers who are using that on a daily basis because we use this for a whole lot of things. We have our SEB team, Social Emotional Behavioral team, that uses this data to help create our SEB framework. We use this when we decide if a student needs an intervention for a particular behavior, and we also use it just to kind of help us keep up with things that are going on with kids on the daily. So anything that disrupts their learning because of a behavior, whether that's maybe it's just a whole child well-being, there's something going on that we just need to kind of keep track of. That's what helps us do that, is keeping this all in place. And of course we have a reading goal and a math goal as well that we would like to continue to see an increase in our overall score with our students. So the next page, this is just a really brief overview of kind of our steps with each one of those. To help clarify our behavior and our Educator's Handbook goal, we are working on more clearly defining what an office referral is and what is a minor incident. It also helps us, we're also trying to establish for every teacher a time when they're going to input that data, because I think that's what happens a lot in the day is that teachers busy, teaching, something happens, they correct, and then the behavior never gets documented. So we want to be really intentional about how to do that. So we work with each team, and sometimes it's with individuals. Okay, when can you set aside a time in your schedule to make sure that you get those things in from the day? And that doesn't mean if it's an office referral, yes, that's more immediate, but it's just those minor things that we need to help us keep up with some data on some kids. For attendance, I'm very thankful to have Miss Missy Rich with us at the primary school for half a day. She has worked really hard to create really an infrastructure for how we celebrate good attendance. We know that we have an attendance issue, and just telling people that you're bad, you're missing school, that doesn't seem to help. But how can we make it better? So we've got banners now where we're tracking attendance rates for each grade every month. We're doing a perfect attendance monthly list. We celebrated that today a little bit. We got all the kids together that have our attendance, gave them a certificate, took their picture. They've got little tags that they put on their backpack. And we're even going to start adding in some like weekly perfect attendance things that are just kind of on a small scale. Missy and Ms. Terry have done some home visits for us for students that are already struggling with attendance. We're doing regular meetings with parents when attendance is an issue. So we're trying to do everything we can to create that now, because if we can create that habit in the primary school, then that should hopefully carry through with them all the way to high school. The motto is we can't teach them if they're not here, so we want to make sure we get them here. And then for reading and math, I'm really excited to see that we are implementing something called YouthLine. I talked about that probably a couple of months ago with you guys. We're using that for our core phonics instruction. We're using that school-wide. We're using that for our core instruction as well as our interventions. We saw some really great growth from it last year in the pockets where we were given kind of a trial run. So excited to see how that plays out for the rest of the year. And then in math, we have a much more structured math intervention framework than we've had previously. I would like to really show some appreciation to Felicia Mull. She's heading that up for us. Delaney Smith is heading up our reading interventions. Shay Rickett does our SEB framework. So we've got a lot of people who are carrying a lot of weight, but it's really making a difference in the things that we're doing. And we've also put an intentional math intervention time into our schedule. We were just handling that through our small group last year, but now every grade level has a math intervention time. So we're doing the same thing we do with reading, where these 3 kids from this class may go to this classroom because they're working on this skill, and so they're really getting targeted interventions with what they need. And then the last page is just the different things that we're going to use to help us keep up with those. It's our data things that we're using. We have STAR Reading, or STAR Early Literacy, and STAR Math. We've talked to you guys about that previously. M-Class is still our main measure for students in kindergarten through 2nd grade. It's what our school growth scores are based on, EBOS scores are based on. So we do have to put a lot of weight in that. We're very fortunate to have Olivia Cook and Pam Patterson. They're kind of like 2 part-time interventionists. Olivia is one that we share with the elementary school, and then Pam Patterson, we contract her for 5 hours a day, 3 days a week, and so it's been really helpful to have her in place there. Do you guys have any questions? I know we went through that pretty quickly. There's a lot more details, but I know that just time is valuable.
Any questions or comments from this panel? Very good.
I guess seek your approval. Is that what I'm doing? Seeking your approval for this?
Just a report.
Just a report.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
Very good. Thank you.
Miss Teague is sick, and so we've got 2 HES teachers here to present next. Yeah.
We're here for Hayes Elementary to represent Miss T, Kristen McClure, and Jessica Hughes.
So this summer, our SIT, our school improvement team, got together twice in the summer and talked about what our did these like mapping techniques and talked about what do we notice about our school, what do you notice about us, and what do you notice about our students, and we each like gave our input on that, and then we asked our teams to come in over the summer also to have meetings with Ms. Teague, and then they gave their own anonymous input on those questions as well. And then our last meeting in the summer, as a part of that team, we sorted those thoughts that we all had about our school and about us as teachers, and then about our students, and that was what drove us to collaborate and then choose our goals.
So our first goal is based on our notes, student achievement, and our goal is to have at least 62% of our students score a 3, 4, or 5 in math and reading and science. And we have 6 action steps, but some of the most important ones are being led through something new we're doing at Hazel Elementary called CCS teams. And we have several CCS teams that are meeting regularly, and we're like really targeting a lot of things at our school to improve and to celebrate and to grow. And our curriculum and instruction CCS team is one of the ones that's focusing on this, and we're evaluating our intervention programs, evaluating our core programs, and just we're like looking at subgroups that might grow a lot or not grow, and really trying to figure out why. Like, is it our core, is it intervention? And we extended our intervention time this year. All of our grades have 50 minutes of fully protected intervention time. And for example, in 3rd grade, just on one day of the week, between 14 and 16 groups of students could be seen for intervention for 25 minutes each. So we're really excited, and think we're going to see great things from that.
One of the success teams that was made this year is the parent and family engagement team, and through that was one of the goals is to have at least 90% of the students feeling welcomed and informed in our school. And some of the initiatives that we would have going for that is the house family night in October. We had that this past October, this October. It was really good, it was fun. A lot of kids came with their parents, and we fed them, and they seemed to have a really good time learning about the house system. We'll have a lunch and learn coming in November that will focus on like a STEM activity, science activity, but it will be during the daytime because we found that some parents can't come at night, and it might be better to reach some of them during the day. And also, back in September, 3rd grade had a Read to Achieve night and invited all the parents for 3rd grade to come and learn about the process of Read to Achieve for the state of North Carolina. And we did note that there was an increase of, it doubled. So it doubled from last year's attendance to this year's attendance, so we were excited about that our parents felt like they were excited about coming to learn about the 3rd grade targets. So.
Also for this one, for parent engagement, Ms. Teague is being super intentional with her weekly newsletters, and it's fully in English and Spanish, so that we're targeting groups that we thought we might not be reaching. And our 3rd goal is student support. So on this one, we're focusing on like the whole student, academic, behavioral, social, emotional needs, and we're trying to decrease our amount of behavior referrals. This is kind of what Ms. Clemens was talking about, using Educator's Handbook to track our behaviors. And at our school, every day for the first 5 to 10 minutes, we do something called the Bee Buzz, and it's targeted on character traits. And the chief has been making us videos targeting specific phrases of our mission and vision, and we're just like learning exactly what each piece means, and so they understand what we're all striving for together. And we have a success team, which is the wellness success team, and they are really targeting this too, and Chrissy's on that team.
Yeah, I'm on that team, and so we analyze the Educator's Handbook data every time we meet, and we really look at where where are the incidents, because you can note where the incidents are happening the most, what the incidents are, is it disrespect or non-compliance or what have you. And so we've been analyzing where the incidents are mostly happening and what grade levels are mostly happening. And so that's a target that some of our lessons are going to target for the school. And also our admin team has split up the high flyer behaviors. They've split them up to kind of take them on, like mentor them a little bit more.
Like some people with admin are having daily check-ins, some of them are having weekly check-ins, or the admin's just checking educator's handbook, and if there is something, they get to come check in with them that very day.
Yeah. So just our success teams have made, I guess, reaching these goals just a little more intentional.
Do you have any questions for us?
I would just say I've been keeping up with your success team updates in your newsletter. I've been really impressed. Like, I can tell you that one of the things they're targeting is 5th grade lunch behavior. And so they've got it listed there, and then they have their action steps of what we're doing about that. And so I think what's really good about that is not only do you all and those teams know what's happening, but it's also being shared out with everybody. So everyone knows what the work is of those teams and how very intentional it is. But I've been impressed reading your updates.
Well, even I have shared even with my students what we've noticed, like where certain things are happening. I think it's good to share with them too. Where the things are happening too. So yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Next, we have the superintendent's report, Ms. Godfrey.
Well, okay. Hello. Just wanted to share, we already met once in October due to the reconvened September meeting, so this report only really covers just the last couple of weeks, but we've still had a lot going on. Just want to highlight a few things at each school that have been going on. The primary school had a parent literacy workshop last Tuesday evening. I attended that. It was very helpful. Their intent was really just to make sure that parents know how to support their students' literacy growth at home. And I've already taken some of the things I learned worked with my own kiddo, and so I was thankful for that opportunity. Shout out to Rochelle Lee and Heather Carpenter and Louise Smith for their work in planning and teaching that lesson. Also, our pre-K students went to Darnell Farms last week, and they ran into the state superintendent at Darnell Farms, and so that was exciting for them as well. Additionally, on Friday, the Clay County Fire and Rescue crew came and gave educational demonstrations to the primary school kids, and I've heard lots of kids talking about how excited they were to get to engage with the firefighters and see the fire truck and all of those things. HES had quite a surprise last week as well. Singer-songwriter Josh Kelly visited HES and did a little concert for them in the library, and so I got to be part of that. That was certainly fun for all involved. Middle school has a lot going on. They've got a parent STEM event happening tomorrow, I believe, and McKenna Moss, one of the 8th grade students at the middle school, won the cross-country conference meet, so she was the cross-country champion for the Smoky Mountain Conference. Our boys team in middle school placed second at conference. The Golden Leap Initiative has been going strong. There was a Marzano coach here for training with all of the middle school staff on October the 20th. And then our Golden Leap leadership team went to Waynesville this past Thursday and learned kind of an introduction and overview of proficiency scales. So that was a great day that we spent together learning. Also, our 8th graders went to Tri-County Community College for a fun-filled day of STEM discovery activities. High school has also had a lot going on. Our volleyball team made it to the Sweet 16, which ended with a hard-fought loss to Cherokee. Our men's cross-country team placed 4th in regionals on Saturday, and so they'll be advancing to state. And also Raylan Wood from the women's team qualified for state, and that meet is this Friday. Our sophomores took the pre-ACT. Ava Shook and Landon Trout were students of the month at the Lake Chatou Rotary. Tomorrow night is the FAFSA completion night. This Wednesday is work keys testing for senior CTE concentrators, and Thursday night is Powder Puff football, weather permitting. So lots going on at the high school as well. District-wide, things that have been going on. We kicked off Red Ribbon Week today. That's a week where we intentionally focus on teaching our students the importance of living a drug-free lifestyle. We celebrated NC Crunch, where our elementary, primary, and also our central office crew enjoyed North Carolina apples, and at the same time on that particular day, and so that was fun. I attended Mo Green's strategic plan rollout. He's making a tour across the state to roll out the strategic plan. So that was in Swain County last week. And we also celebrated School Lunch Week recently. So there's been lots going on throughout the campus, lots of celebrations and fun things that we've been focusing on. Also want to give you a few updates about the intermediate school. I'll first start with some pictures. We had a tour of the facility on Friday the 17th, and so these are a few pictures. So I'll tell you a little bit about these pictures. This is the classroom wing, so you can see the classroom wing is 2-story, and obviously that's looking on the bottom story, but those will be the classrooms once that's completed. That's kind of in the center of the building, that walkway, and the area on the right is that's going to be the office wing that's currently facing the rock gym. That is where the admin offices will be in the main entrance to the school. That is a dressing room and restrooms for the auditorium, the Performing Arts Center. That's a look at the back of the auditorium where all of the sound booth will be, and you can see the catwalk has been installed there. That's the stage of the auditorium. The auditorium is really coming together and really taking shape. It was fun to go in there and see the progress that they've made. This is kind of the center of the building. This picture is taken from the cafeteria, and so on the right-hand side of the screen, that is the classroom wing, and that part to the left is kind of the center hub. That's where the media center will be, the art classroom, the STEM classroom, and some CTE things. Those are positioned there so there's easy access for high school students who will be coming over to take some of those classes. That's the cafeteria, the seating area for the cafeteria, rather. So, just to tell you a few things about what's been going on, all the CMU is completed, the welding is complete where steel has been erected. Like I said, they've installed the catwalk in the auditorium. They have set the 3 sets of stairs. All decking has been installed, except for the corridor in Area A, and the single slope roofs at the cafeteria. They have prepared the second level for floor for pouring, and the structural exterior wall framing is ongoing. Roof drains have been set, and piping has begun, and roof materials have been set on the roof. The continued work for the rest of October and November is to begin pouring the second level slabs, to install the single ply roof, continue with exterior framing, install the armor wall sheathing, and to continue working on the roof drain piping. So there's lots of things that are happening, but the goal is for them to be in the dry by December. So that will be really exciting. For those of you who are able to stay in the tour, it was really remarkable to see the progress they've made and how it's really starting to take shape, and you can start to see envision what it's going to look like when it's complete. So, and up until today, the weather has been in our favor. We've not had very many rain days, and so today will be the first in a long time we've had to report a rain day. Have any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Scott. This will start with the action items on the agenda, and we'll begin with the MOU with Clay County DSS and Ms. Terry Hager.
Hi, thank you for letting me talk to you today about this. As the district school social worker, one of my main responsibilities is to be the point of care contact for foster children. And so this memorandum of understanding between Clay County Schools and the Clay County Department of Social Services has to do with that and a lot of what I do. So whenever children come into care that are through foster care, part of my responsibility is to work with DSS for them to notify me immediately of children coming into their care, and then we coordinate together so that we can work out what are their needs. We do a best interest determination meeting within 3 to 5 days of them coming into care and talk about if they have come from another county that's close by, then there is in the law the right for a student to stay in the school of origin, like Cherokee County or Macon County or someplace like that. So part of this memorandum has to do with transportation arrangements between the school and DSS and making sure that there's continuity and stability of educational care of students. And so this is part of the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, as well as educational stability for foster care. So we have an agreement that the transportation, if we have a meeting and decide that perhaps a child needs to stay in Cherokee County, and then we have to work together to provide some kind of transportation that's cost effective, either no cost or low cost options, and using some of the federal and state and local funds that we have available. In the time that I've been here, I have not known of any foster child that we are having to transport for that reason across county lines. However, I also work with McKinney-Vento, which is a federal program, and we have sometimes made plans in the same kind of thing, the school of origin. So part of what I do is provide foster care related information and training to the district and to schools and ensure that they understand the special needs of children in foster care. And I assist in coordinating all those services. So do you have any questions about this memorandum of agreement?
This is the same as what we previously had, so this is just an update.
It is.
But I thought it would be good for you to hear from Terry in regards to how it actually plays out. And I would say too that we have a very unified relationship with DSS, and it works really well for our schools to have Terry as the point person. But just overall, we have a really positive relationship with our local DSS, and I'm very thankful for Terry's support in fostering that, and also Todd Goins and their workers are wonderful to work with.
They are.
Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the MOU with Clay County DSS.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Just call a second. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Next, we have the supplemental teacher compensation plan.
Okay, the first thing we'll go over is the funds for teacher salary compensation. These are funds, recurring state funds to each LEA for the purpose of offering salary supplements to qualified certified instructional staff. The plan was actually uploaded in your folder, and I'll just give you a little background. It was appropriated back in 2021, and if you guys will remember, you all approved a plan back then. They have come back within the past year and decided that we need to approve that plan annually. The first plan had verbiage in it to move forward with it, but they want to see that you guys have reviewed it annually, what our plan is. Again, these are recurring funds through the state, but the actual amount may vary every year depending on, the state budget. The funding limit, no individual supplement may exceed $4,464 per year for a qualifying teacher The local board of education determines how supplements are distributed within legislative limits, which certified positions will receive supplements, and the schedule of intervals for supplemental payments. Certified teachers and certified instructional support staff who are paid according to the legislative certified teacher salary schedule are those who qualify. Principals and assistant principals who are paid based on what they would earn as a teacher could qualify for it, but we don't have anyone in that position as of right now. Funds cannot be used for principals and assistant principals paid on their respective salary schedules. Central office employees are non-certified employees. Supplements are treated as salary. They're not bonuses or stipends. Therefore, they are not subject to retirement. And then, even though the funding source is recurring, annual allocations are per teacher limit, and per teacher limits may change every year. For the upcoming year, we'd like to present the plan to continue to pay those payments in December and in May. And if anybody starts after the first working day of the school year, or before December 1st, we will figure out the prorated amount that would be due to them. And after December 1 to May 1st, we would also figure out a prorated amount that would be due to them at that point in time. The total amount that will be distributed in each of the installments will be $2,232 in December and then $2,232 in May. Do you have any questions?
So, Shelley, really what the board is approving is how those funds are, when they're paid and those types of things.
And the intervals that we pay it and that who qualifies for it. Even though legislation is pretty much dictated who qualifies for it.
Yeah.
Any questions regarding the supplemental funds? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve that as it's presented.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Second, all in favor? Thank you. And next we have the budget resolution.
We had a presentation and also the budget resolution in the folder. I think Ms. Godfrey is giving you a copy as well. I did update the first page for budget overview, the top figure. We had originally planned to do this in September, but when we ended up not being able to have any action at the regular board meeting, then we had to put it off until this month, so there were some changes, so that made that total number change, and I failed to go in before we uploaded it and fix that number. But just to give you an overview of what's going on in the actual resolution that I hope you've already looked at, the total combined budget for all funds is right around $21.2 million. There are 7 total funds that make up our total budget. Those are the state, local, federal, capital outlay, child nutrition, scholarships, and other specific revenue funds. The state public school fund, right now we do not have a comprehensive budget. The state is continuing to operate on a continuing budget resolution, which allows us to continue to operate with the same funding levels as last year. The key disagreements that legislation is facing where they are not coming to agreement has been Medicaid and how to provide pay raises for state employees and teachers. The General Assembly did adjourn last Thursday, and they will not reconvene until November 17th, and they are expecting that the budget will not be acted on until January. So that's what we're looking at now. And then you get on to January and you look at how many months are left in the fiscal year. So I'm not sure what all will be acted on in January. We also have the federal shutdown impact. As of today, we're 27 days in. It's the second longest in U.S. history, the last one being 35 days, and that was in December of 2018 and lasted into January of 2019. So we're getting on up there in the days for the shutdown. Funding like Title I and IDEA and most of our federal funds, we expect to continue. Appalachian State did send out information that we can operate at our discretion and risk. Continue to submit invoices for allowable costs right now, and they do intend to draw down from the federal government what they are allowed to during the shutdown. And if for some reason they are put on hold with funding, they will process those payments once the system's restored. I do feel like we do have enough cash flow right now to keep them going. I mean, if we were to run into November, later in November and December, we might have to talk about other ways to keep the program going with minimal cost until the government's back up and running. Child nutrition reimbursement delays. The shutdown could delay reimbursement for school meal claims, although the USDA has a 3-month funding buffer for school meal programs, so hopefully everything will be back up and running before we have to worry about that as well. Okay, so the first one on the resolution is the local current expense fund. And I did not change that one either. I must have not updated for any of it. So the actual, but oh no, I know what never mind. I'm having to follow my own notes. The actual county appropriation this year is $2,084,416. The total budget is $2,206,092. We are up $211,375 from last year, and that does include some of the money we had appropriated to us in capital outlay last year. They moved over from capital outlay, which you'll see in a few minutes when we get to the capital outlay part of it. They moved that over from capital outlay into local current expense fund, so that would be a recurring item for the school year. So I don't know if you really want to count that as part of the increase of $211,375 or not. The priorities include athletic trainer, sustainability and local supplements for certified and classified staff. And right now we have the 1.5% supplement that is about $123,000. The bus bonus, which costs us about $23,000. And then the classified supplement for all classified non-certified staff, which costs around $59,000. And then, of course, sustainability of salary and benefits for locally paid staff, which we only have 3 staff members right now that receive any local funds for salaries. We try to keep all of our staff paid out of state or federal funds. Then a 3% increase for utility costs. I do want to remind you that forestry revenue is uncertain, and that's due to that contract with the Secure Rural School Program ended. So we're kind of not sure how that's going to impact those funds, and we usually get those in the spring of every year. Are there any questions on the local budget? The next page is the State Public School Fund. It's a total budget of $13,368,101. There are 26 plus allotments alone in the State Public School Fund. The largest allotment is our teacher allotment, classroom teacher allotment, which provides us with 58.4 positions. Our small county supplemental funding, and then our CTE months of employment. They provide 100 months of employment, and then of course our exceptional children's special needs funds that come to us through the state. Again, the supplemental funds for teacher compensation, that was a total of $641,752 for this year. That's a total of $4,464 per teacher annually. And then that's going to be the 2 payments of $2,232 paid in December and May, and that's up from last year, $222. Of the state budget, $12,800,339, or 96% of expenditures are salaries and benefits. So that's the majority of what the state budget goes for.
Give a lot of wiggle room.
Any questions on the state? The next we have is federal grants. We have a total of $1,014,344. This includes our Title I, our Title II, our Title IV, which is the SSAE funds, that stands for Student Support and Academic Enrichment monies. IDEA, which is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act funds. IDEA Pre-K, which is also tied to the normal IDEA funding. CTE, carryover for RLIS, which is part of our Title I plan, because we did not get funding for RLIS this year. Then you have IDEA Targeted Assistance Funds. The Title I funds alone make up $453,877 of the total federal budget, and IDEA is $395,126. So those two funds right there make up the majority of your federal funds. Any questions on federal? The School Food Service Fund, a total of $970,500. We do have a continuation of the community eligibility provision program participation. That's free meals for all students, and funding priorities remain nutrition access for all of our students, and then just program sustainability, trying to just keep what we have going. Okay, the Capital Outlay Fund. The county appropriation for the Capital Outlay Fund is $15,500. Last year, they awarded us $66,124. So we're down this year $50,624. Of the $66,124 last year, we had to transfer $45,124 to sustain local supplements. So what they did is took that amount and shifted towards local current expense fund and decreased our capital outlay fund. While they appropriated it in capital outlay last year and didn't go ahead and put it in the local current expense fund at that time, I don't know. We had to invoice them for the funds to put to local current expense fund expenses. We do have a total budget in the capital outlay fund of $604,362.66, and that does include our lottery funds that we have determined use for so far this year. Additional sources that we can tap in to use for the budget moving forward into the year if we have to. Our lottery funds are available. We have $306,638 in lottery funds. Those are a little less restricted than the R&R funds. We can use those on the outside of the buildings, where R&R funds are restricted to inside the actual buildings. ADM funds is $53,464, and if you remember, ADM funds have to have a local match. It's a one-to-one match for the use of those funds. And repair and renovations funds, we have $827,887 available in those funds to use. For the lottery funds, we typically annually get about an $85,000 to $100,000 distribution for the year there, so those funds will go up, and they distribute those quarterly, but they have not distributed any quite yet to those funds. Lottery and repair renovations works about the same way as far as them putting funds in. We get that quarterly, and we usually get about $493,000 to $577,000 a year there. And again, those are a little more restricted to use. You have to use those on the classroom facility. ADM funds, there's no new money going into that. Once those are gone, those are done. So we did complete the work at the parking lot at the high school, and the DOT did that work for us, so that leaves us that $15,500 available to spend, and that will be on facility maintenance, safety, and capital improvements. that we can't pull down from state funds. The next one is the Education Foundation Fund. It's a total of $376,995. And I'm not going to go over amounts in each one of those, but we've got Kitchen Scholarship, the Burt Street and Wall Street Scholarship, the George Wimpy HHS Alumni Scholarship, the HHS Class of '61 Scholarship, Bill Bell Scholarship, Excellence in Teaching Award, Becky Bradley Scholarship, the Bill Scholarship, and then Clay County Festival of Trees Scholarship. And you know, these funds support a lot of our kids in our community going to higher education, and it does help support community engagement. There are several of those funds that there are multiple grants granted out of those funds as well. And then these are just the grants that are managed here, and the high school has numerous grants that are managed at the high school level as well. The other specific revenue fund is a total of $2,691,170. The major programs in that funding is Medicaid, the Medicaid Administrative Claiming Funds, North Carolina Pre-K Program, Discovery Education, the Dogwood Trust Grants, and the Gear Up Grants. And again, there's 25 plus programs funded through Fund 8. The biggest ones that I just mentioned, Medicaid is budgeted a total of almost $109,000 this year. Medicaid Administrative Claiming, $139,000 is budgeted there. Pre-K, $228,000. Discovery has $457,000. Dogwood, that is the CTE grant, and then we have an Early Childhood Education grant. Both of those together are $653,000, and then the Gear Up equates to about $288,000 that budget. And then all the other funds in there are either designated fund balance that have to be used for a specific purpose, and other smaller grants that come to us from other outside agencies. That's a lot.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Hollingsworth? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the 2025-2026 budget resolution.
Make the motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Do you want these signed copies?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. There we go.
Not if it's in blue.
We did those.
This one?
Yeah, we
You
did
that one. You did
Here's
this one too?
Here's
Okay.
Here's yours.
Good. Look at there.
I just haven't signed my copy. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So next we have policy 4318, use of wireless communication devices.
So, as you all know, there was a recent legislation changes regarding cell phones in schools, and so as such, we are required to adopt a policy regarding this by January 1st. And we already had a policy in place, policy 4318, the use of wireless communication devices. And so the School Board Association has made some tweaks to to that policy to be consistent with legislation. They also provided us an alternative option for this policy, which is really a bell-to-bell policy. So you have one of each in your folder. Option B, if you'll see up there at the top right-hand corner, that is the bell-to-bell policy, which basically means exactly what it sounds like. There shall be no use of phones anytime from the start of school to the end of school. Whereas the other one is a little more lenient in terms of non-instructional time. And so normally when we do policy updates, we just do those through the consent agenda, but because this one is such a popular topic, and also one that has a lot of interest in the community, we thought this one would be a good one for us to discuss separately and discuss as a board. So with that in mind, I've invited Dr. Clapsaddle from middle school and Mr. Everett from the high school to kind of share with you what their thoughts on these two different policies are, what they see in each of their buildings. I think it's really important that we adopt a policy that is going to be strategic for all age groups, and so these policies do look a little bit different, and so I thought as we consider them, it'd be good to hear from our principals. So who wants to go first? Okay.
I'll say something that I don't often probably say. The General Assembly got it right with House Bill 959. This is a good law. It's really helped in the high school. We all know the problems that come with these. They're a great tool, but in the hands of teenagers, sometimes they can lead to some problems. Mental health issues, anxiety, depression, loss of sleep, body image issues, withdrawal from families, things like that. So they've kind of taken over, and now this is a really good step to kind of take back the classroom time, that time with the teacher in the classroom. Really should be sacred. So what we're doing at the high school is we're implementing option A so far this school year, which is that during class time, from the time class starts to the time class ends, these things need to be powered down, not in airplane mode or silence, but powered down. Okay, and then whenever class is over and we're going to the next class, then it's fine to turn them back on and check your messages, make a quick phone call. That's fine. Okay to do that during breakfast or during lunch, or if you get to school before first block, or if you're hanging around after school for a club or something like that. We've been allowing that, and it's worked pretty well. What our our layered response has been for students who are struggling with this a little bit, and there are some, but the first time that they have a problem in the teacher's classroom, the teacher says, you got your phone out. It's a reminder. It's just remember, phone has to be powered down and put away. You can't have it turned on. You can't have it on your desk. Don't do it again. It's as simple as that. And then we ask the teacher to log that just as documentation in Educator's Handbook as a minor incident. And then if it happens a second time with that teacher, the teacher is to take the phone up from the student for the rest of the class, and again, log it in Educator's Handbook as a minor incident. So first two steps, step 1 and step 2, we've had 53 cases of those this year. Okay, but that's all been handled in the classroom at the teacher level. And then step 3 would be, okay, this is the third time I've had a problem with this with the student. The phone's got to go to the office. We'll put it in the safe for the rest of the school day. Okay, we've had 3 of those. And then and then a parent or guardian has to come get that phone at the end of the school day. We're not going to return it to the student. We're going to return it to mom or dad. Okay? And then the 4th time, we have not reached this with anybody yet, but I'm sure we will. But on a 4th offense, it would be in-school suspension. So that's kind of been our progressive response to this. It seems to work pretty well so far. I've heard some veteran teachers say things like, was it this easy all along? And it's kind of refreshing that kids are engaging with one another. They're asking questions, they're raising their hands, they're interacting more. And in fact, I've had to get my class to shush and be quiet every now and then. So that's actually been a good thing to see kids kind of engaging more in the academic material. So that's what we've been doing. I'll let Dr. Clapsaddle talk about the middle school.
So ours is just a little bit different. Our issues, we have normally operated under the bill-to-bill. They're not supposed to have them out. Now, of course, the policy says they're supposed to be turned off and off their person. We don't have issues in classrooms. We have issues when they go to the bathrooms or maybe they're on their way somewhere. So it's not necessarily in the classroom. It's, oh, mom shows up and wow, how did you know little Jenny was sick? Well, Jenny texted me, but she went to the bathroom. So those are our issues. One I just came up with today was a student, and I need to speak to you about this, but a student told another student, hey, this one's talking about you, and then proceeded to get his phone out while they were sitting at buses to film because he wanted a fight to happen. Those are our issues, kind of thing. I don't think we have, I don't even know, knock on something, that we've taken up any cell phones this year. Not saying that we didn't last year, but it's those kind of things where now as soon as the bell rings, by golly, whatever, 297 students, probably 290 have them out already. And it's the first thing as they're coming in the building in the mornings, make sure you turn your phone off, make sure you turn your phone, throw it in your locker, you know, as they try to hide it in their book bag or their hoodie or wherever it is. So those are kind of our issues with the cell phones.
So we've started our year following this version A of this policy. What we like about this policy is that it does allow for there to be some differences between how phones are handled in the middle school and how phones are handled in the high school. It does provide opportunities for, if you'll look on section B, where it says students are permitted to possess wireless communication devices on school property so long as the devices are not turned on, used, or displayed during instructional time, or as otherwise directed by school rules or school personnel. So there is an opportunity for there to be differences there. Our thought process with starting the school year this way was, one, in anticipation of these policy changes that would be coming by January 1. But also we felt like if we, especially with our older students, that if we sort of meet in the middle and give a little, that students would be more willing to respect those boundaries. And so far, I would say we've been pleasantly surprised with how well that has gone. But that felt like a more comfortable in between for students who are used to having them on them all day, every day. Not that we let them use them in class as a general rule, but it was more lenient. And so I think that this was a good segue into more restrictions. So between the three of us, you know, our recommendation would be to go with the first option, knowing that we have option B if we ever want to get more conservative with it. But also the first option does allow us to become more conservative, as we just mentioned about the differences between middle school and high school. This policy would also allow Mr. Oberlin to become more strict should the behavior merit that. And so I think it just gives us more flexibility. What we hear from parents is that parents feel more comfortable with their kids being able to have their phone, at least with them at school in the event of an emergency. And we always have those that are going to abuse it, but our thought was too that the more restrictive that you are, the more discipline you're going to have. And we know that there's only so much administrator time to go around to deal with discipline issues. And so that was another thought in this, was to not accumulate a bunch of discipline referrals that we're going to take away from Mr. Oberlin and Ms. White's time, but also it does put limitations on instructional time, which is the core of what we're about. And so as long as cell phones are not being utilized during that time, that seems to be the priority. But of course, if cell phones become a problem with inappropriate behavior at other times, there's still an option to become more strict. So collectively, that's what we think regarding these policies, but they're both there for your consideration and approval, and we will do whatever you say.
Any thoughts, comments?
It'd be nice if we could have option B for Ms. Clapsaddle and have A for Mr. Oberlin. I mean, are there a way you can do that so that they're both running their schools the way they want?
I don't know the answer to that question. I could certainly ask and find out. I think option A does give her the ability to be more restrictive, so she can do what she's doing under policy A. It doesn't. We don't have to change anything about the way we function with policy A.
I think ours are more like, we don't have a whole lot of non-instructional time, like where they go to breakfast and they have the breaks, and like they're basically, I won't say running to and from class, but there's 2 or 3 minutes in between class, so they don't have. And ours is just, how did you know that your child was sick, or those kinds of things. And then do you really spend, like she said, half your day searching kids for cell phones and those kinds of things? I would love it if there was none of it involved. That would be wonderful, but you know, that's never gonna happen. I mean, how do we each feel like when I walked in today and then I realized, oh, I left my phone down there, what did I do? I jumped up and went down there and got it. I mean, I can tell you I'm addicted to it, just like he was talking about all the dangers of it. You know, we're all part of it. I appreciate that part of it, but I don't know. I like the point that we can be more restrictive if we need to. But sometimes it's, you know, you've got to kind of balance out what you're dealing with. And there are good things to them. Well, I mean, they're not total evil. Total.
I should note too that policy A does allow for teachers to allow use during class for instructional purposes. I know that Mr. Oberlin has communicated to his staff that should be very few and far between because we are a one-to-one device district, so pretty much everything that's available on their phone is available to them on their Chromebook, and so there really shouldn't be a need to swap those two things out. I think we talked about the only time really that a phone is more convenient than a Chromebook is really if you're trying to take a picture. If the class has, an art class is supposed to go out and find something and try to photograph it, trying to hold your Chromebook and get the right angle can be a little challenging. But otherwise, there's really not purposes that would be easier to accomplish on a phone as opposed to the Chromebooks, which they do have access to.
So I guess from the way that I read these and the way it sounds, if we approve option A, I mean, I guess I get the point of option B there, but option A lets you go, like if you wanted to lock them up in the yonder cases and stick them in there. I mean, option A allows you to go even to that extreme almost.
Right.
I mean, right?
It's like
Yes.
you can do both, right?
Yeah.
And under A, right?
A allows you
Yeah.
to do both.
We're pretty
Yeah.
much bell to bell anyway.
Yeah.
And A is what we currently have in place.
And B,
It's just tweaked a little bit.
that would probably
to match
create more
legislation.
work for y'all,
It would
correct?
cause a whole lot more.
A whole lot more work for, and we don't need that, right? We just, yeah.
But it seems to be working, right, Mr. Oberlin? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yes, it actually is. I've been really proud of our students overall for how they've done this. You know, again, out of all the students, the administrators have been involved in 3 different cases all year so far. So that's really not bad.
So obviously the teachers are following through with it as well.
Yes.
I mean, that's the other. Yeah.
Dr. Shipp, I assume that we could always revisit in the future if things are not
Going
going as planned, right? Right. So just to get my understanding, I appreciate you putting this in our folder. And let me just talk through it if you don't mind. Option B is no phones bell to bell. But option A allows us to have it like we have now, where we have no phones during instruction time unless it's for teacher-led or teacher, use that for their instruction time. But option A also does not limit other schools to do what they want. I mean,
Correct.
okay.
It provides that flexibility. The biggest difference is section C, which is authorized use during non-instructional time. And so it basically says that students are generally permitted to use phones during non-instructional time before and after school. But it also says the principal may establish additional limitations on the use, possession, or display of such devices consistent with this policy. So that's the part where for the middle school, and we should also talk about elementary. I mean, it doesn't affect elementary as much, but it would be the same. It still gives the principal the ability to place additional limitations on those students, but also provide the flexibility that the high schoolers.
So it's like if he wants to go bell to bell some a year or two down the road, he can do that without us having to change anything.
Correct.
Right.
About the only non-instructional time would be like when we have our house games. That I can think of.
But then again, you can limit
Yeah.
their ability to do that.
Any other thoughts, questions, or comments? No. If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the wireless communication 4318. I'm hearing the recommendation for option A, so entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve option A.
Option A. So we have a motion for option A. Is there?
It don't matter.
Mr. Jones seconds that, right? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then next we have the intermediate school change order number 3 approval.
Change order number 3. So we went over this change order at the most recent building subcommittee meeting, and it was approved by the subcommittee. And so now I'm bringing it before you for your approval. You have 2 things in your folder. One is the draft change order, which will be, once approved, that will be removed, and we will execute that. The second thing is kind of a running total of our change orders. So you can see all 3 change orders listed there. The total of this change order is $54,233.98. Which sounds like a tremendous amount of money, and it is. However, we are still $295,703.92 below our original contract price. And so, if you'll remember, after our first change order, we did some cost savings that saved us about $350,000 from our original contract price. And so we've been able to use that cushion without really breaking into our contingency yet, and to use that savings for things that pop up in the project. So, if you approve this change order, we will still be $295,000 below our original contract price. The things that are included in this change order are to add the RFP wallboard in the kitchen, which will make it easier for cleaning. We have that in the primary school kitchen, and that has been very helpful in keeping that space clean. That's a total of $25,000. We need to add a mini split in the elevator equipment room to keep that equipment cool and running appropriately. That's a total of $6,618. There is a roof drain that was missed on the drawings that should be above workroom 412 that we will need to have in order for the water to drain appropriately. But because it was missed in the drawings, it was not included in the original bid. That's $4,888 for that roof drain. We are eliminating the quarry tile in the water room, and instead we're just going to seal the concrete. So that's a total savings to us of $3,097.50. Also in the original plans, there was some back and forth with the electrical engineer, and in the process of that, there was a electrical panel for lighting in the auditorium. So there's house lights and there's the theater lights, and they need 2 separate panels, but only one was included in the original drawings, but there should have been a second one. So that's an addition of $13,024. And then there was quite a bit of discussion among our team about the elevator equipment room. In the drawings, the elevator equipment room was on the 2nd floor, and we felt like for the purpose of having people get in to service that, it would make more sense for it to be on the main floor. So there was a storage room right below it, so it was easy for us to just switch those. But that storage room that was on the 1st level is actually larger than is needed for the equipment room. So the plan is to kind of separate that space into 2 spaces, one for the equipment and one for storage. But because we're splitting it, we'll need to add a door since we're dividing that space up. So that's a cost of $3,000. And then at our subcommittee meeting, there was a discussion about the elevator door frames. So there are 4 door frames, elevator door frames in this building. When the project was bid, it was what was in the contract was a powder coat paint finish which is very durable. But we do have the option to upgrade to stainless, which would be more long-lasting. And that was Wells and West's recommendation, was that we upgrade to stainless for the sake of longevity and durability. And so all of those things together collectively would be a cost add to the project of $54,233.98, leaving us $295,703 still under our initial contract price. So still in good shape with our budget. Do you have any questions about any of those items? I can try to answer.
What's the 10% stuff?
That's their overhead, their profit. Wells and West.
Shouldn't the minuses have a minus 10%?
Minus 10%. You would think, but.
I would think so, but no, I guess not.
No, actually, Shelley asked that question in the subcommittee meeting. She's like, "What's this 10%?" He's like, "That's how we get paid."
Yeah, like the first big one, 354,000, still another 30 came off of it.
That's right.
I mean, who's in it, right?
Would have been nice.
Whatever.
That's all I got.
That's it.
I like the way you think about it.
So we need a motion to approve this change order, right? Yeah. So any other questions or comments about the change order? No.
I'll make a motion to approve the change order.
Okay, Mr. Ash has a motion to approve the change order. Is there a second to that? Mr. Caldwell seconds. All in favor? Thank you. And then next we have the consent agenda. So there's policies there for approval, parental involvement, parental inspection and objection, school trips and extracurricular activities, and then the board minutes for September 22nd, 2025 regular session, which was continued on to October 6th. And then you have policies, just the approval of the consent agenda, I'm sorry. So is there a motion that we approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second to that? Mr. Jones seconds, all in favor? Thank you. Then for informational purposes, there's a list of policies for first read before next month's meeting. And there's also a MOU there that's first read with the Clay County Sheriff's Office regarding the K-9 unit.
Can I speak to that
You
real quick?
can, yep.
Okay, so if you guys will remember, there was a local group that was working to raise money for a K-9 dog for the school system. And they did raise that money. They raised $27,000. And so we're in the early planning stages of trying to figure out exactly what that would look like for us to have a dog on campus. Over the last couple of months, I've been working to find other examples of MOUs that exist related to canine dogs in schools. And there is a policy, a regulation actually from Orange County that the School Board Association provided me with, that I provided to the Sheriff's Office. They have taken that and tweaked it and used some of that information and developed this draft. I received this today, and so obviously I need to have our board attorney look it over. I wanted you all to have time to look it over. And I have invited Stephen Smith, who is the head of the K-9 program at the Sheriff's Office, to our November meeting to answer any questions that you have. This is still a long way out for us, but I did want us to go ahead and start having a conversation, be able to ask the questions, get input from our leadership team about this. So I've just provided the draft copy for you, but anticipate that there will be some changes made to this once the attorney looks at it as well. So.
Very good. Any other comments, questions, or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session. Caldwell has a motion. Is there a second? Josh seconds. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Is that what makes this? Like really? Yeah. Like it was that 300. It was.